Okay, yeah, we're starting. This is it. This is the Cavalry.
Welcome
what's up, Johnny?
to the Cavalry.
There we go. Yeah,
It's always very official when we start.
Yeah, we're famous. We're famous for our intros. And we have another guest. This is exciting. This is really fun. The hilarious Meghan Hanley. How you doing, Meghan?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me. I would say you have no idea what this means to be able to talk to you guys like this, but you know how this has been.
Yes, right.
What
an honor. What an honor for us to
so,
share the Zoom boxes together. We do
I'm
this a lot.
so happy.
Yeah.
So good to see your faces.
So good to see yours and Andrew's.
It's it's nice to see your you have a cool background now. That's the first time I've seen you have like a wood paneling kind of
I'm in my parents' basement.
I was gonna say cool parents' basement is exactly what it looks like. The classic wood paneling and some school pennants hanging. Looks like Northwestern and Fordham. Very educated family.
Northeastern and Fordham.
Oh, my bad. Northeastern.
Yeah. I made my dinner already, and I said, listen, I'm going to be in the basement for several hours.
Well, you obviously didn't do that much homework on the podcast because it's not several hours long.
We famously don't last very long, but that's hilarious too. Did you have to give the humiliating speech to your parents? Like, hey, I'm going to be downstairs doing some podcasts and some shows into the computer. So if you guys could keep it down.
Oh yeah. I said, I'm going to be using the basement. I said I have shows booked out from 6:30 to about 9 p.m. So I'll be downstairs. I made my salmon and I ate it. And then my dad was doing some work for school because he teaches at a community college. And he came upstairs about 15 minutes ago and he said, Meg, the basement is now free.
You may enter.
Handing the baton from teaching community college minds that desperately need to be molded to some sad comedy. Well,
Meghan, the flag background is free for you now if you'd like to use it.
Yeah. Does he also use like a ring light? You seem like you have good lighting. Does he use?
This is actually. I just discovered this. This is. I'm kind of like. This works out really well. It's like a bar that I'm sitting behind, so it's like a little desk kind of thing, which is great. And then there's just a light here that works out very well. And there's supposed to be more stuff here, so I took it all down. So the last time I did a show here, I forgot to put everything back up right away, and then my dad came down here and he's like, Meg, were you using that area for your projects? And I said, yes, I was doing a Zoom podcast. And he goes, oh, all right. Like, I guess he thought I just took it down for no reason. Like, then he put it together. Like, oh, okay, that's cool. I don't want all my stuff being broadcast.
I've heard like comedy referred to as a lot of things by parents, but one of the most hurtful ones I've ever heard is your projects.
Oh yeah. They don't really sugarcoat it. I've had conversations over the years where my dad has flat out asked me like how much I've gotten paid for things like in front of people, no shame. And he's like, well, you getting paid for that one? How much you getting paid? And he's go, oh wow, that's almost like a real job. Almost
like a real job.
And then he's like, what? Why? I didn't mean anything. And you're like, what?
Yeah, come on, that's a compliment.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming. So we just were talking right before you got on, but you don't understand what this podcast is what you were trying to say before.
Well, I sort of do. I got some information from you, and then so I was like, let me research the podcast. I'm sure you guys are aware of this, but when you put in the Cavalry in a podcast thing, it's a lot of religious.
Yeah.
Yeah, well that's
you put in the Cavalry instead of the Cavalry.
Right. That's a mistake
a
lot of people have made. But we're trying to capitalize on that. There's a lot of people out there. We're just trying to like siphon off.
Yeah. You're our fourth guest and our second guest that has made that mistake.
Boy, a real good advertisement for Fordham back there.
And I kept rechecking. I was like, something's going on here. Am I spelling this incorrect? No, this is correct. And I'm like, this is weird. I was like, do these guys know this? That there's a lot of religious stuff coming up. So I did watch some YouTube of your YouTube. So I learned some things, but I still wasn't sure exactly what was going to be happening. I thought, well, I'll just
the format remains unclear after several episodes. Well, basically, it's real simple. We keep it real simple. We just try to like bring, because throughout the week, Johnny and I, we live in separate places, but then we bring to each other maybe some things we need backup on in our lives. So like the Cavalry, like you call it Cavalry for backup. So I don't know if this is.
We're calling in the Cavalry.
Cavalry.
The Cavalry.
Yeah.
Not the Cavalry. But maybe
I'm really glad I aired this out. I'm really.
Well, no, I've made that mistake myself, and I put the promos out, so I have to edit the promos half the time because I put Cavalry. I gotta think about it every time I say it now.
I'm like overthinking, but I also knew what you guys meant. Like I've seen the poster, I've seen the horse, you guys on the horses. Like I get it. That's
our old logo. Okay. That's yesterday's logo.
Oh yeah, we're constantly now. It's a big cross.
Whoa.
And people praying. We're leaning in.
Yeah.
No, but so basically, just we bring things that we need backup on, like little problems or situations or arguments we've lost. So did you? I know I did explain that. See, you're selling me out. You're acting like I did not explain it to you, but I did explain it via text.
Yes.
Do you have anything like that you need backup on?
All right. Well, I would like to talk about, I think, what's going on with the current baseball season right now. I believe that it's really in a team's best interest to try not to win this season, because I think we can look at what happened during the last pandemic, 1918 and 1919, both scandalous years.
Whoa!
I'm gonna need some more information.
You're gonna have to update Johnny on a lot. Now, first of all, what is baseball? No, Johnny famously does not like baseball, but I'm a big baseball fan. But then, so you're 1918, 1919 is like the Black Sox, right? Like the.
Well, so it's like 1918 right away. Like as a Yankee fan, I was like, oh, well, the Red Sox won in 1918. Maybe the curse wasn't the curse of the Bambino. Maybe it was the curse that they were playing baseball in the middle of a global pandemic. And then people have also said, well, it also really went into 1919, was actually even worse to the pandemic. And then that's the Black Sox scandal. So you have 2 years there that you go, these are, maybe, I don't know, maybe you don't want to win these years because maybe your team is going to become cursed.
Interesting take. And also last year, the Astros won, but they cheated. They were proven to be cheaters.
No, they didn't win last year. They lost last year. They
lost last year, but they were in the World Series.
They were in the World Series.
They were inflating the balls. Anyway, I'm just excited to learn that I didn't know that baseball's that old. I didn't know it was around in 1918. Huh.
Oh yeah. Some of the original teams, still around back then.
No,
Big time pitchers. Christy Matheson. Oh, forget it.
That's why baseball is so boring. That's why baseball is so boring now, is because it was a game that was around since the 1800s that they refused to change, really.
Yeah, this is what I've noticed even throughout this pandemic. I've been watching a lot of old baseball games, and it really is interesting. Even when you watch games just from the late 90s, early 2000s, some of them, the graphics are so you're oh my God. And then I'm a Yankee fan and I live with Mets fans. So one day I was like, all right, well, let's watch the 1986 World Series. Let's watch the Bill Butler game. I've never seen it in its entirety. I've seen clips of it. Oh my God, trying to make it through a baseball game from 1986. It's so boring. You don't even know you don't even know the Red Sox are on the precipice of winning their first World Series since 1918. You don't even know it. That's how lame it is. And you're like, oh my God, this was so boring.
I can't imagine anything worse than watching an entire baseball game where you know what's going to happen. There's not even any suspense.
Guys, I even learned a lot. I learned a lot though watching that game. This is what I've been doing. I feel like it's been happening to me throughout this because I've, run out of anything new happening in my life. So I'm just rehashing things that happened in the past, and often it's things that no one else is rehashing, like the 1986 World Series. So I watched it, and then I had like a lot of things to say about it, and I was like, to who? Like, who's? This is not a hot topic. Nobody cares.
How do you even watch it? Is that on demand, or who's like? Is there a DVD of that game? How did you watch it?
That game was on YouTube, so we looked it up on YouTube.
Sure, everything.
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
So, I have Meghan. Is baseball your favorite sport?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
like
I don't know if when you were doing your research on the show, if you came across a previous episode where the thing I needed backup from Andrew was that baseball is literally the worst sport. Only coming from a boringness point of view. Only from a boringness point of view.
I get it. I for me, it's like the slowness of the game is what I really kind of love about it. You know, it's like it's sort of, you can just have it on the background, and then it kind of draws you in. That's how you really get to know the players, because you just listen to the banter back and forth, learn about their families, what somebody did. You know, the announcers, if you get into like a good announcer, they'll give you like their story, what they did over the weekend. You get close to them. It just brings people together.
That sounds like a season of Lost.
Yeah.
A sports game.
Baseball is like a slow British drama.
Yeah.
That they, someone lost their medicine and they go with Thames. No, but
I want to offer support, but I'm gonna have to leave this one up to Andrew just because.
Well, the original take is not that baseball is exciting. The original take is that the team should actively be trying to lose right now
because it would be bad luck to win.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of this whole sort of QAnon theory Meghan's put together about the last global pandemic being related to this one and connecting to baseball. I just like how conspiracy theory, like how out there it is. I'm going to back you up. And also, I'm a Mariners fan, and so I'm all about losing. Like any strategy that involves losing, I can embrace that as a Mariners fan. I've not been following them closely. I know that we're doing our usual losing, which is great for this year. So kudos to us. How are the Yankees? Are the Yankees doing good? Are you nervous that they're going to do too good?
They're okay. They haven't been looking great lately. Overall, they're doing fine in the standings. They'll probably make the playoffs, but like they've been having a lot of games where you're just like, what is going on here? Like they're very off and on.
They're listening
to
you.
Consistent, and I'm like, all right, you know what? Go ahead. Let the Dodgers win this one. Good luck winning during a real year.
How are the Brewers doing?
I don't know. I haven't checked back in. I'm not sure.
Yeah, me neither. I would say that's my team, but the closest I can say that's my favorite team is I have one of their hats. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many of the Brewers? How many of the Brewers classic '80s games have you watched this pandemic,
that's all I'm doing.
Johnny? Yeah.
When I can't sleep, I just put them in. Knocks me right out.
I'm so happy sports are back, the real sports. I did the same thing, though, when they were replaying at the beginning of the pandemic. They were replaying old football games, and I was watching old Seahawks games and stuff. And it is amazing. I was yelling at the refs for bad calls from the past. I was getting actually upset, like, oh, Jesus Christ. And you're like, what is this? This is insane.
Yeah,
reel that in a little bit.
No, you start to like rehash it, and you're like, oh, it all comes back. It all comes stirring back. We were watching. They had on early in this. I don't know if it was March or April. One of the NBC channels started playing all of the Olympics, like the Summer Olympics, and we were just watching that constantly. And it was like the best of Michael Phelps and this, and it was just like, just getting taken in by it and being like, I forgot this happened and that happened. It was awesome.
Oh,
I feel like that's the type of thing that, like, if you're flipping around and you see it, you'll be like, oh, this is great, and it'll suck you in. But it's not the type of thing where you'd be like, hey, we got to get home because the
right.
96 Summer Games is about to come on.
2008 Beijing. Woo!
But to be fair, I think it was on ESPN Classic or whatever, but I did watch the Dream Team, one of their basketball games.
Ooh. Oh, that's cool.
In the pandemic. And it
like
was
the original.
But like when I watch sports, I mean, my basketball is my favorite game to watch because I like actually watching. Like, I don't care. I just like watching people play basketball. I'm not like rooting for a team. I just think it's fun to watch people slam dunk and make 3-pointers.
You're like the soccer mom of. I just imagine you and Johnny in a Vegas sports book watching the NBA finals, and people are losing their minds. Johnny's like, guys, they're having a great time out there. Can you not just enjoy this? Some guy's losing his house because LeBron misses a free throw at the end, and Johnny's like, he's a great player, though.
Yeah. He made one earlier in the game. I don't know why you're so upset.
He bought his mom a house. It's all right. It's all right.
Right. Yeah, he built a school for children. He's actually a great guy.
Yeah, it's been
That's great.
I'm
backing you. I'm going to back you up, Megan, because I love crazy conspiracy theories, and that's pretty good. And like I said, the Mariners suck, and so it's great for them. So if your theory is accurate, then the Mariners should be not necessarily. No, actually, that's not true because you just can't win the World Series this year, right? Other than
this
that,
year,
you're okay.
And then I guess depending on what happens with next year should be okay. But yeah, this year it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's just this bad omen. Something I don't know.
Who is the favored team? Is there a favored like expected team to win?
The Dodgers supposedly look the best, but it's hard to tell because they're not playing everybody. They're only playing, their coast. So I feel like I constantly don't know what's going on. Like I've had a very hard time following it. Like
that is kind of fun that they have to play like just their regions.
Yeah,
like that's their version, which by the way, how much safer is that really? Like the coronavirus isn't everywhere in our country. Like it's like, okay, we're gonna keep LA they're only gonna go to Seattle, Colorado, and then we're not gonna spread this virus. All right. We're just gonna get on planes and go state to state, but we're not gonna cross the Mississippi because then
that would be irresponsible.
That'd be irresponsible.
I know, it's true, because every time somebody plays in Florida, a team gets shut down for a few days.
It's insane. Do you think they should have tried to do some sort of bubble like the NBA is doing?
Yeah, I think the bubbles are great. I think the bubbles are great for NBA, and I love how NHL did the 2 bubbles. They got the East and the West Coast bubble, which I think is really cool. I love that too, because so many people are like, why are they playing in Canada? It's like, because they're not American and they don't want to come here. Hello.
Right.
Like
Americans are like the last to realize nobody likes, you know what I mean? Like we're like still like, what's everybody's problem? And we're at the party ruining it for everyone. And why'd everyone leave? It's like, because you guys suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty depressing. But so Johnny, you're backing it up, or you just whatever?
I love superstitions. That's why.
Oh, that sounded sarcastic. But
it wasn't sarcastic. It's the only aspect, the only non-sports aspect that I could come with.
We won't pry.
I offer no insight on the sports side of it.
Too close. Johnny, do you have something you need?
I do. I do. And this will be good to get both of your perspectives. I have a hunch. Okay, so here's what happened. This is just what happened. So my wife is a teacher. She's at a school, and they're in meetings all day, and it's very they're in classes like sensitivity, culture, just everything. We have to be very inclusive and, treat everyone fairly, just all the, everything. And it's getting very excessive, which isn't a bad thing until you hear this story. So Aaron was talking to so my wife was talking to a coworker, whatever, with someone else in a Zoom, because they're in Zooms, and she said, "Oh, you know, their ages came up, and she's like, "Oh, you look so young. I would never have guessed that you're older than me. I would have never guessed that." And this lady is Asian that she was talking to, and then later after the Zoom, the other lady messaged my wife saying, "Hey, when you said that thing to her, that kind of can come across as a microaggression." And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, well, because she's Asian, and you know they have there's that saying, Asian don't raisin. So that could be a microaggression. So I think it might be a good idea to apologize. I never heard that before.
No, that's not a saying. I've never heard that in my life.
Heard that?
Well, they're doing classes on it, so they probably dug it up from somewhere. And so my wife had to like apologize to this woman that wasn't even asking for an apology, and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I guess that might have been on my." And I'm just like, "Okay, this is ridiculous," you know. And it just made the whole thing awkward because my wife had to be in meetings with this lady, and the lady that like told her, "Hey, that's a microaggression." So I don't even know what even know what I'm trying to get support. I just think it's ridiculous. And right, that's, I mean,
this is great. This is so good. This is so good, Johnny, because this is going to get us, because we're already getting the cavalry confusion. So we're getting now we're going to get the anti-PC. This PC culture is taking over. We're going to get those people. We're going to create a whole coalition that's going to push us to the top here. But no, in this case, first of all, Asian and raisin do not rhyme.
That's correct.
You know, that's black don't crack. I've heard that before. But
Everyone
those rhyme.
knows that one.
Asian and raisin do not rhyme. So that's not, I don't think it's a saying. And I think when you report things like that, you're telling on yourself a little bit.
Right.
Because like no one in the room was thinking about race until you told everyone you have a stereotype in your head that you believe Asian people don't age. So that's like your thing you need to work out.
Yes. I agree completely. It's like, it's one thing if, well, first of all, it's just a comment about, hey, you look young, like, good for you. That was the only comment. That's a compliment. That's the only comment made where you go, hey, thanks.
Exactly.
Now, if from that there was something, and it could be anything, that somehow that comment triggered something in the woman she said it to, and she said, hey, you know, when people say that to me, it makes me feel, and it could be about anything. Like, you know, maybe just when someone says that to me, it makes me think they're not taking me seriously or something like that. Like like what you said bothers me, and here's why it bothered me. Then that's a conversation you could have. But if it didn't bother that person and no one else was thinking it, and for the other person to come out of left field with a bizarro thing that they were thinking, well, everybody else must be. And it's like, no. Nobody else was thinking
just that. Not even.
Maybe she's trying to get that started. Like she's trying to get that Asian raise, and that's her way of like getting it into the system. You know, that's a saying. And nobody wants to argue. No one wants to be like, oh, is it ever? You know, everyone's like, oh, is it? I didn't know. No one wants to be, no, it's not. Oh, are you kidding? Oh my gosh, you know, and be the bad guy.
Yeah.
I think whenever, I mean, I don't know.
I think we're totally with you. And speaking as someone who often gets the reverse treatment where people guess that I'm older than I actually am.
Who does that? Who's done that?
Johnny thought I was like 46.
No, I didn't. I thought you were I thought you were my age, you dipshit.
No, but people who do look at us
Are
like
you
next to each other on the Zoom.
I'm 46, you
asshole? No, they
asshole?
think that you're younger than me. I guarantee you people think you're younger. It's not your fault. It's just I do look older for my age. And I'm saying as someone who gets that off, not just from you, but from like a lot of people. Yeah, I would rather people assume I was younger. If there was just one that you had to have, I would go with the younger one, even if it was some sort of insane stereotype.
So like,
I think it is. Okay, go.
No, you go.
No, I feel like it's one of those things like, I don't know. People immediately think of it when you say you look older or younger. People think it has to do right away with like your fit. You're like, why do I have wrinkles or not enough wrinkles or what? You know, it's that kind of thing where I think sometimes it's just how somebody, it's meant as a compliment if people think you're older because they're like, you have it together. You're composed. You seem more mature than other people I've met your age. Because
That's what I meant. That's what I meant, Andrew.
Because I feel like, not that I thought that you were older, but like, I think I was surprised at your age too, because you're someone who like, you have it together. You're very sure of yourself, in a positive way, not in a bad way, in like a great way. Like you've got it together, got a great wife, you know, you're very confident in your comedy. Like, I think it's excellent.
No, this is great. This is great backpedaling, but I think you're onto something, Megan, where I don't think like, if I'm literally looking at my face, I don't think like I have like wrinkles, you know, but I do think you're right about like carrying yourself, but it's not that I'm like confident. It's just a like sort of general poor posture, like eating, hovering over my soup as I eat, like that kind of thing, I think is what makes me seem older.
No.
And just working on a
soup versus hot dogs. Who would you guess is older?
Yeah, because Johnny, if we're using that logic, Johnny presents as like 8.
Yeah. Oh, Johnny, I thought you were so young. Oh, you racist. No, because you're eating hot dogs and you look like you haven't washed your clothes in a while.
Asian don't raisin.
Wait, so then can I ask, how did your wife go about then apologizing? Was she like, hey?
She sent her, she read it to me. I don't remember. It was like, hey, I'm sorry. I thought like, I don't know if she even said I don't think she did, because she didn't want to throw the third party that is an idiot under the bus. And so she was like, oh, hey, I was just thinking later, you know, I hope I didn't offend you. And I said, you know, you look that you look good.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I don't know. I still can't grasp the whole situation.
Oh man.
I don't know. Is it weird that like it seems that most races besides white people have now a stereotype that they age well? Does that just mean that white people age horribly? Is that basically everyone else is aging at the normal rate and that white people age very poorly? Is that what we're coming up with?
Why? What are these other stereotypes?
Oh, you're not aware.
Well, besides I've heard black don't crack.
Right. And then now I've heard Asian don't raisin.
So that's two.
Those are 2 major ethnic groups.
Yep.
I think a lot of
All right, you're not going to go down this road? Okay, fine. Forget it. I thought it was a tantalizing subject, but forget it.
I think you're right. I think in general, I think white people don't age as well. I think it has to do with just like the fairness of our skin with the way that the sun absorbs. I think we get more sun damage and it like leads to aging quicker, you know, and guilt. A lot of guilt.
Yeah, the guilt just weighs our skin down.
These are guilt lines.
Yes.
This is where I had to apologize in the meeting for complimenting someone.
Right.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah, of course. I think it sounds like we're both backing you up on that one. That is insane.
Yeah. See, that was a pretty easy one.
But was that all happening via Zoom, or was it in person that this all happened?
The incident or compliment, I should say, took place via Zoom, and then I believe the third party moron sent her a message, and then my wife sent a message to the beautiful young looking woman.
So all that happened, none of it even happened in the real world. So you know what I mean? Isn't that crazy?
It's all ones and zeros.
All ones and zeros. All this, just if it weren't for the stupid computer, none of that whole unpleasantness would have even occurred.
Yeah, and I think that's probably even more of why it occurred, because if you were just passing someone and having a conversation with them and you're like, oh my God, you look great. And you'd be like, oh, wow, you look great. Like, that's it. That's it. It's a moment between you and another person. But because it's like we're in this sort of Zoom world, everyone's sort of isolated. People are on edge about everything. You know, no one's sure how they should feel about anything. People are just so, I'm sorry to you. I'm sorry to you. And then also you're part of these conversations that had nothing to do with the meeting. It was just a moment you wouldn't have been there for, but now you are because we're stuck in this.
Yeah.
We're stuck in these boxes.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Plus, they're talking about the sensitivity training for, you know,
Right.
8 hours a day. So
That's
her
true.
brain's probably like scanning
true.
every sentence. What can I, you know, what can I comment on?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we're with you, Johnny. We're there.
Yeah.
Tell Erin that we're backing her up.
I will.
Yeah.
Whoa, this looks huge. And this.
I really.
I mean, it is a big glass, but it's.
Megan, this podcast is breaking down when the guest is entertaining themselves by holding a glass
close
to the camera.
Holy
Whoa.
cow, look at how big my hand is.
Whoa!
We
Guys,
went
none of
from-
this would be happening in real life, but it's happening here.
We went
On
from delicate,
the Cavalry.
we went from delicate race relation talk to look how big I can make my cup. Yeah, we really are versatile.
She's just trying to save us from being on the cover of the New York Post. Podcast gets a little racy.
Yeah, we don't need that. Or we do, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go quick. This is what I need backup on. So I went to the doctor for the first time since the pandemic started. And it was, I mean, it's just amazing. Like, first of all, I don't understand how I guess health insurance works because like we pay money. I pay money every month, no matter what. We go to the doctor or not. Then when the pandemic started, I remember thinking, I was like, oh man, what a boon for the health business. They're going to be doing business like gangsters. You know what I mean? Isn't that just, that would be the natural, but it was the opposite. They had to lay off all these doctors apparently because they weren't making money in a pandemic. It's like, how is it possible you guys aren't making any money when everyone has to go to the doctor? It doesn't make any sense to me. But then, and then you go and you can't even get an appointment. So like, oh, we laid off all our doctors, so you can't get in for like 2 months. It's like, well, there's demand. What is the problem?
Yeah.
So I don't understand the economic. No one seems to be making money off of it, but whatever. So I go to the doctor and finally, and I just hadn't been to the doctor a long time and I needed like shots and stuff. So I went and, you know, I'm trying to, I guess I've been trying to eat a little healthier because the quarantine's been rough or whatever, but I could tell I got weighed in. It wasn't exactly the number I would have been hoping for. And the doctor seemed to notice, and her question to me, she didn't like address my weight like directly, but her question to me was, have you been eating a lot of canned food? That was her question. And I was like, well, no. And then she just kind of moved on to the next, you know, off the subject of like diet. But I was like, I don't understand. So what I need backup on is I need to understand where she's coming from on that question, because I haven't been able to stop thinking about what she meant. Because I brought it up to my wife. Okay, you go, Megan, then
I would say right off the bat, your sodium was high.
Okay,
your sodium was high. If you're eating like a lot of canned food, like processed food, like there's a lot of added salt in that. So that could cause things to spike.
Okay, so you think it's because I have high sodium, but then my rebuttal would be, does this doctor think America's weight problem is because of canned food? Like, oh, the temptation when you go to the grocery store and I walk down that canned food aisle, it's so hard for me not to grab a few extra beans or Hormel chilies. I don't think that's the problem, right? Like Wendy's is the problem. That would be my, if I was self-diagnosing, but
yeah.
That's really, and it was just that, it was like, it was in response to your reaction to your weight, or was it like
I mean, I was a little. I was like, whoa, okay, that's maybe
maybe I got to cut out the canned foods.
Right. But I don't have a scale in the house or anything, so we just try to like do the normal whatever. But then so yeah, I had that reaction when I got weighed in, but then she was just doing like a general physical checkup. And then that was like, I could tell she was like looking at the chart or whatever. And it's like, oh, your body type says canned food to me. But it's also, I don't know, it just felt insulting or something. Like I thought I could do better than canned food. I can get fat off of, dining.
Why wouldn't she just say fast food?
Right. It is weird.
Right. Okay. See, I wouldn't have even been shocked. If she said fast food, I would have just lied and said no to that too.
Right. Right.
Canned food was so easy for me to go, no, don't touch stuff.
It's so specific too. It's weird.
Yeah. Maybe she was like giving you that benefit of the doubt. She didn't want to say like fast food.
Yeah, it's like,
and then I don't know. Maybe we was just trying to think like, are you preparing your own meals, kind of? So I'll start with this canned food question. I don't know. It's so strange.
Yeah.
She's trying to be topical. She's like, "Oh, are you in your bunker? Just you dipped into your reserves a little early? Is that what happened here?
Did you eat your year's supply in the 3 months? Is that what happened?"
I wonder if maybe somebody came in. And whatever you had going on in your chart, and she said like these numbers, whatever it was, were a little off. Maybe they said I've been eating a lot of canned food, and maybe it's just stuck with her. I don't know.
Yeah, these numbers scream Campbell's.
Yeah.
To me.
You've been eating tons of soup.
I don't know. And then the only other thing I could think of is like, because she wasn't like super old as a doctor. Not to get into all that old controversy again, but she did not.
Careful.
I don't want to insult her by saying she was young, but she did not seem like an old doctor. And so, because I thought, well, maybe like, an old person might go, that is the way you get fat, is because you just eat too much canned food. I think that would be like an old-fashioned idea. Mm-hmm. But so I don't know. And then the other thing, she's a general practitioner. So then in my head, those people are like old country road doctors who like hit your knee with a little hammer. They don't really know anything about modern medicine or anything. They just know like to listen to your heartbeat and like, okay, that's there. And they hit your knee. And then if you're like, my ear hurts, they go, well, we got an ear doctor for that. I don't know shit about that. So they send you there. So maybe she's just like, old country, I don't know, but canned food. Yeah. Stay away from canned food, I guess. I didn't even know canned food. If you had asked me before this, I would have thought if you exclusively ate canned food and you didn't eat like hot dogs and hamburgers and fast foods, you would actually be doing pretty good. Like if you ate like tuna and chili and all that I was like, oh, and beans or whatever. I was like, that sounds pretty healthy to me. So it was kind of an education for me that way.
I guess I could have done an appointment now, but like a couple months ago, I tried to do it because I haven't seen a doctor in, ages, just like a regular checkup.
Right.
And I tried and I called, the place and they were like, oh, okay, yeah, we can. And I got talked to the scheduling and they're like, okay, well, we are doing, right now with all of this, we're just doing virtual doctor's appointments. Why? Virtual doctors, this isn't a therapy.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see, they got to do my weight, my blood,
right.
You want to just talk to me on the
my
phone?
God, it's such a scam. I had to get a coronavirus test because I traveled and my wife's pregnant and stuff, and so I paid more to get the one that's like quick with the quick turnaround because I didn't want her to be stuck at my parents for like 3 weeks, right? So. They charge me though, not just for the test and the lab result, they charge you for the visit to determine whether or not you get the test. And the visit was like a video 3-minute phone call saying, hey, do you want this test? And you go, yeah, I kind of need it. And they're like, okay, $70 for that. and then we will go ahead and process your fees for the test. So it's like those virtual doctor's visits are such scams. And that's like the one thing they're like, oh yeah, we think we'll bring this with us after the pandemic. This is working out great.
Oh,
We're making lots of money. We're not spending as much time. This is fantastic.
I thought he was gonna be like, okay, do you have a hammer? Can you like hit your knee? I'm gonna watch and see. Just hit your knee a little higher.
Right.
Yeah.
How does your heart feel to you?
Yeah, I've had nothing but like really pretty bad experiences with doctors throughout the course of this year, and it's mostly been like because something happens to me and then they do the backup work after, you know, like you're like, wow, I came here last year and you guys caught none of this. And now something shitty happened. Oh, what am I allowed to say that? Something not great happened. And now we're backtracking and now we're figuring out the root of it. And I'm doing all this work on my own. And you're like, and how much am I paying you? And it's become such like a ripoff. And I know what's been happening from people I know working in the healthcare industry that like because of COVID, because nobody's responsible for the money for it, right? It's just like, hey, you got COVID, you don't owe us anything. So what happened was everyone was at the hospitals, everyone's working overtime, but there's no money coming in. So now the hospitals don't have money. So now it's this other issue of like, who's going to keep these hospitals open? Because everybody was working, but there was no flow of money from insurance, no flow of money from doctors. And yeah, it's really kind of like, I had like a procedure done recently and I had to pay up front.
Oh my God.
It was and it was a really terrible, it was the whole thing. I feel like I was being shaken down and I was like, I know what's going on here. I was like, they have no money. So like, it's like they're billing me and then they're going to, after it happens, they'll put it all through insurance. But I'm like, this does not feel right.
Oh.
Like,
they're like mob doctors now. They're like, you had to go to a veterinarian office at 2 a.m. and it's, I don't know. It's horrible. But I guess I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, it's like, you know what? The gyms went out of business. Like 24-hour fitness had to declare bankruptcy or something. But there wasn't one time where they stopped charging people for their membership. They were like, it's like health insurance. No one stopped paying their health insurance, right?
Yeah.
So like, what was the problem? I don't understand. Where did all this like money shortfall come from? So I don't really get it, but
that's very true. Yeah, we didn't get like a freeze.
And also you can swear at this point of the podcast because the people who tuned in because they thought it was the Cavalry have already turned it off by now. They figured it out. So now it's okay to say shit.
Hopefully they figured it out before I called Andrew an asshole twice.
Right, yeah. And that one just came out of you too. That felt organic.
That was a natural flow.
In that field of poppies. I mean, that's what it is.
I know. I've never had
I know. I try to bring sunshine to the podcast.
Okay. Well, wait, Megan, do you need one more? Do you have one more in you, or do you need anything else?
No.
Back? We probably have time just for one more if we do have time at all.
Oh no, I don't know.
No pressure if you don't.
I don't know.
No pressure if you don't.
I feel like I don't have anything. I almost was going to message my sister and be like, I know there's stuff from childhood that I was not winning in arguments, but I feel like my brain has been so brain dead lately. I'm like, I don't remember anything. Like, I don't know if anyone else is experiencing that with the end of summer and like the state that we're in, but I'm like, why? I don't know.
Please, it's bad enough you've inconvenienced your parents for this podcast. Don't drag your poor sister into it. All right. Well, thank you, Megan, for doing it. This was so fun.
Thank you for having me. This is wonderful. It was so good to see you guys. Hang out.
Good to see you. This is fun.
Yeah.
Stay safe. You're in New York. Your parents are in New York too, right? So
they're on Long Island. So just out here for a few days.
Well, have fun with your projects down in the basement.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything. And you feel supported on your insane baseball conspiracy theory, I hope.
Thank you. I do.
Well, that's great. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Johnny, do you feel supported?
Of course I feel supported. I do feel supported. Megan, do you have anything you want to plug? Any podcast, website, anything?
Guys, I have like nothing going on. I'm on Instagram. That's where I haven't even been doing that much lately. I'm on Instagram at the Meghan Hanley, Meghan with an H, the Meghan Hanley. Other than that,
follow her on Instagram.
Yeah.
Follow her on Instagram, and when things get back to normal, come see a show.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Thanks everybody for listening. This is the Cavalry.
Now,
I'm second guessing it.
I know.
I had it down very well until this episode. The Cavalry podcast. Rate and review. Tell your friends. And goodbye, everybody.
See you next week
on
the Cavalry.
Okay.